And just like that, the final game of day one has arrived. Rogue Warriors versus KT Rolster. What could be a decider for early seeding going into tomorrow, because right now the LPL and the LCK are tied at 2 wins apiece. Gentlemen, welcome back. This game is going to be a peach, I suppose, as we get into this. Look, we got to start at the beginning. For those of you who don't really watch the LPL that much, Rogue Warriors, a newer team. They joined in spring. Clement, break it down for us. What are we looking for with this team?
So you might have seen SMLZ the last time with OMG, but he's here to bring in a new team with him. Doinby, Mouse, and of course Flawless and Kahlua, all excellent players in their own place. And they have been at the top of their league for quite a while, only being knocked down by EDG. They were used to be all about the big 5v5s, playing around SMLZ. But this split, they've moved along with the meta. ADs are less important. And Doinby says that he is the super carry right now. The most obvious thing about their compositions, he's always playing bruisers in the mid lane. The Kled and the Aatrox do come to mind as he charges in and becomes a vanguard for his team.
That champion pool is insane, by the way. You look at most players, oh yeah, the Kledman, all right. And then you think back to spring season, he was Rise with Righteous Glory and other utility items. He very much knows his role. And you're right, that's kind of my take on them as well. They've unlocked this SMLZ or nothing, and now sometimes it's the supportive tank mid laner getting more resources and allowing Flawless to go super aggressive. He's been a bit up and down, but Rogue Warrior is always a treat, and the question I posed earlier when they faced KT Rolster is, would KT dare to play Funnel, a comp that's all about doing its own thing, against an opponent that could be doing anything?
Yeah, because we've seen Rogue Warriors actually counter the Funnel very well. Doinby and Flawless are very strong 2v2, and they also do like to do the early level 1 invades just to take it away from them. So they definitely know what they're up against.
Of course, we do have to quickly thank our sponsors, Mercedes-Benz, Logitech, SPD Bank, and, of course, ROG. But to get even more into this, I want to take a look at the mid lane specifically. Doinby versus UCal looks to be like a lot of fun, because Doinby, he's the guy who can't play anything. You talked a little bit about the Righteous Glory Rise. Well, Flandre has been playing that for Snake on the other side. Is this a chance that we could see Doinby bring out new Aatrox in the mid lane?
Yes, 100% yes. The whispers of that pick is there, and I love the poses already between Doinby and UCal, a Korean mid lane battle. Those most played champions that you know, that we know already the Korean teams in the last 2 have impressed us with their flex picks. Doinby's pick, you don't really know it to all 5 champions a lot.
Yeah, you just don't know what he's going to do. Of course, he is a Korean import. Didn't play in LCK, however, was scouted
Famous
from the from the ladder directly into the LPL. And I want to see him go for this vaunted smite mid strategy that we've been hearing so much about. Bruisers with AoE, you know, the Talon, the Aatrox, or even the Karthus and Azir. We're seeing that in solo queue so much right now. And if there's one person to bring something new, it's going to be Doinby.
I just want to point out, you say we've been hearing it so much. I feel like you're the only one that's really been talking about it
it's
a
on
bunch.
solo queue. Just
okay, all right. We'll keep our eye on whether or not that's going to be the case. But still, there's a lot more to dissect outside of this as well. Smeb versus Mouse also looks to be like quite a fun matchup.
Smeb can definitely, on his day, read an opponent like a book. So very interesting to see how Smeb goes. It's Smeb score, UCal, Deft, and Mun. No sign of rush. I'm sure a lot of the global fans sad not to see their vanguard.
The
but
Rogue
KT
Warriors
looking strong in their previous
on their other side, Mouse, Flawless, Doinby, SMLZ, and Kahlua.
The big ones, of course, are SMLZ and Doinby, the 2 major carries, but the supporting cast are doing very well as well. The traditional blue-collar top laner in the Mouse, we would like to forget that matchup against Smeb, but we do have to remember their coach is Stake, and Stake had a very good showing in 2015 against Smeb. Smeb actually said it was the hardest matchup in groups for him.
If you're going to start pulling out history, though, some of those Mouse versus Korean top matchups are also pretty awkward. So you're right. Maybe fast forward for this one. We're a family-friendly broadcast.
Well, then in that case, let's get to some of the nitty-gritty details for this. I want to see the banter. I want to see the flame. We've got our LCK representative, our LPL representative. Gentlemen, who's taking this? Papa, you start us off.
Betting on KT.
Yeah?
That's,
the roller coaster.
that one is
right.
that's already a trouble. But I think KT looked really good, but we didn't learn anything.
Yeah,
they played a funnel comp. It was a different one. That seemed like a one-and-done pre-planned strategy. Now a lot of people will scout that out. I feel like we're no closer to knowing about KT, and it's also Rogue Warriors' first game. My first thought is KT, because of their early game strength. Maybe they can take it away from the side of Rogue Warriors. But if a couple of kills go the way of Doinby,
you keep shaking your head no.
I'm trying, I'm wearing the pin, but I'm still not sure. It's
Okay.
50% KT.
I'm going to go with Rogue Warriors because KT, I don't think they're as clean of a team.
Sure.
Even against Griffin, they went even in kills. And if you give Rogue Warriors just a good team fight with their bruiser compositions, with the hyper-scaling carry in SMLZ, you're not going to see the late game.
All right, well, we'll see what it's going to be as the desk is divided. As we go, though, let's hear for Smeb's thoughts on this matchup.
굉장히 좀 게임을 많이 보진 못했지만 좀 새로운 시도를 많이 하는 팀이라고 알고 있거든요. 그래서 좀 그 새로운 시도를 많이 하는 그 도인비 선수가 가장 좀 경계 대상인 것 같아요. 일단 마우스 선수는 제가 개인적으로 제일 좋아하는 탑라이너거든요. 중국 선수들 중에. 그래서 굉장히 재밌을 것 같고 그리고 이제 저희 팀원들 중에서도 EDG 출신이 있잖아요. 그래서 네, 그런 점도 좀 재밌는 것 같아요.
Dark technology, as well as former teammates, Raz. That's what Smeb's insight in on this match against Rogue Warriors
Yeah,
is.
he's been hearing whispers. The dark techniques of Dubium is definitely something you have to fear. The Kled ban already coming through. Mouse doesn't play that champion. Doesn't
Techniques.
happen.
Techniques, not technology. Thank goodness I don't speak for a living, but you're right. Immediately the Doinby ban comes out. No, that's not going to be Kled in the top lane. Mouse doesn't play that champion. He plays Dr. Mundo. Banned out against Doinby. Aatrox actually been taken away by Rogue Warriors with Nocturne, Swain to follow. Camille as well as Talia being banned out by KT. They lock in Sejuani as their first pick.
And here's the problem that I see in this matchup, because Clement makes a mention of it. KT ain't that clean of a team. We just gotta get a game. When they're pretty much handled Mad in a very clean fashion post 15. So love to see what ends up happening with that team if they are as clean as they were in the last game.
And we'll have to see if they can be as clean as that. Because that last match coming out from KT, they went for a different type of funnel composition. Worked out for them. It was a 5-kill game, Raz. 5 kills.
Yep.
I could have taken a nap and I would have gotten more kills in my solo queue game.
It is as clean as you can get in terms of macro. And that's if you're playing some vision control that KT placed in the last game, then the worry is that Rogue Warriors don't. They don't ward as much as they should. They don't set up as much as they should. They are a hectic team, they are a skirmishing team, they are a fighting team, and we'll see if KT falls into that trap.
Exactly. Why ward when you can just brawl, Raz? And they've already picked up Lucian as one of the champions they want to brawl with. Going for Skarner as their second pick for Flawless in the jungle.
And so far, the best Lucian player that we see in the LPL is SMLZ. He's played it frequently, he's the Essence Reaver type, and he's been skating in team fights. He's super damn good, and a lot of the skirmishes he's been rolling with.
We've had so many conversations about this, like who's the best Lucian player? Come on, you can't keep out the likes of iBoy.
This split, SMLZ has gone in towards it repeatedly. iBoy has had one fantastic play, but it feels like every game for SMLZ and the Lucian pick has been phenomenal. So that's why, based off consistency alone, I give it to SMLZ. You saw the stats coming up. It's been really damn good.
Well, last 2 picks in the first draft from KT were Ezreal as well as Tomcats. For the side of Rogue Warriors, their final pick hovered between Nami as well as Soraka. Not surprised by either. Killua's had 2 games on those champions, and when he paired up with SMLZ's Lucian, he just never died. That Soraka is able to keep their AD carry alive for so long.
So KT should very easily recognize what Rogue Warriors are going for here. Killua does this often, you made a mention of it. Mage support repeatedly to protect SMLZ in the bottom side of the map. They get ganked repeatedly, and a lot of their response is, hey, if Killua dies, that's fine, as long as SMLZ is getting the farm, he's getting pressure in the lane, and he can come back in these mid-game skirmishes and team fights and provide the damage that he has. So right now, this is looking like a great composition for Rogue Warriors. That being said, not a lot of pick potential. Just the Skarner alone, you usually see that coming out of the support pool as well. So it looks like they're fairly focused on just the Skarner unless, you know, we see an Orin pick up in the top lane.
Well, they get 1 counter pick, so we'll have to see what that's going to be. The Rogue Warriors have to pick their final champion now. 2 bans towards Mouse in the top lane. He's only played 4 champions in summer split of the LPL. 8 of those games were on Mundo. A couple of on as well, and the rest of them were tanks. Only 1 match on the carry, and that was Rise. So offering this pick is a little bit surprising, whereas for side of Rogue Warriors, they're also seeming to attack the top side with Jace and Cannon being banned out, but Rumble getting locked in for Mouse.
And a lot of it just like...
Hello?
Yep. And remember, you cast your mind back to Mouse on EDG, because a lot of these players have previous homes, and Mouse did play Rumble, but it's not the carry Rumble. It's the Rumble where you're trying to be a low econ Rumble. You're playing to the bottom lane still, and if there's a play happening top line, if there's, like, you're trading towers, Rumble's throwing in the ulti to push the wave back. or you're getting into team fights, he throws the ulti and still doing a lot of damage. Issues that it's going to be a Rumble that's very vulnerable, and so KT now has a target in Mouse's back in the early game.
Let's see if they can actually hit that target, however, because so far, very tanky roster coming out from KT. Galio being picked up, most likely heading into mid lane with Sejuani in the jungle, Ezreal and Tomcats bottom lane. So final pick towards top side of the map against that Rumble pick. I mean, at this point, who knows? Oh! Slam dunk time, guys. Jarvan being picked up.
Yeah, I added a little bit of a spoiler alert because there are 2 smites being flexed up by the Motha mid laner and the
what's
jungler.
going on?
So I'm expecting that to be a Jarvan mid lane. And here,
Yes! Give it to me! Doimby picking up the Talon.
Yes!
Super
man.
carry Doimby is back.
He's played this before. Previous splits. He has a large champion pool. And the thing about going up against double jungle or the roaming strat, Talon is really good for that. Tracks you down. And so having that roam potential off the Talon, being able to track the junglers, I want to see, it looks like it's going to be a Jarvan top without any flexing, no double jungling at all. That's a good thing, because right now you want to hide Sejuani as much as possible early on in this game.
He's
feeling himself.
Even more crazy picks coming out from Doimby. He's put the Aatrox in the mid lane, now he's picking up Talon. We're not going to see that double smite coming out from KT, but it's a Jarvan heading to the top lane, Galio in the mid lane. The final battle between LCK and LPL for day 1 of Rift Rivals. The last match that KT will play during the group stage, and they pulled out the Jarvan in the top lane. Whereas for Coach Steak on your screen, he's like, nope, we're going to give the LMS something to fear in day 2. Let's show them what this talent can do.
And it's flexing individual skill, because their composition doesn't have very much teamfight strength. It depends on how you place the Rumble ultis. If Mouse has a phenomenal Rumble ulti placement throughout the entire game, I ain't going to say anything. But with just off the Skarner alone, just off his pick potential, it's very easy for KT to look at this composition and say, we're playing back. But they have so much raw damage that if Rogue Warriors ever find an early game lead, you'll have Dubium constantly looking roam and dive, and the TPs from Rumble will follow up. It's a team that can snowball very quickly.
I mean, these are 2 teams that's a meta breakers, Raz. That's what we call the Rogue Warriors in the LPL. Picking up unorthodox champions over and over again, unorthodox strategies as well. KT experimenting with the current meta. Kindred in the jungle being shown by them. We've seen Mordekaiser be picked up 6 times in the bottom lane by KT. These 2 teams really experimenting with the meta, and even down to their matchup alone, things have been changed.
And this time around, we haven't even made a mention of it because there's so much happening on the screen that Jarvan's been picked up as a top laner. And a lot of it's just based around the fact that we would love to see a Jarvan Galio composition.
Are we Season 1 again? Is it going to be double-hearted gold going into the top lane too?
If only. If only we can just
Give me that
dig straight into the black market and just pick up ourselves a few of them.
Costs 300 extra gold.
There we go. Still have it. That being said, problem is, you're looking at this, is that Jarvan Galio not going to be... It depends on the top lane. And here's the thing. It looks like top lane is going to be the priority a lot of times. Rumble's going to be feeling the pain. It's much more easier to access that kind of dive potential top lane and left as a TP to the bottom side of the map. That's the intricacies of the KT matchup, their teamfight composition. So Mouse has to be very patient. He has to be very aware of his surroundings, because if Wallis misses out one ward, it doesn't path towards him when he should, and a wave is crashing, he needs to bounce out of there.
Is he that type of player though, Reds? Is Mouse the person that's meant to be hyper aware? Is he someone that is very patient at the top lane?
That's why they picked him up. Like in EDG, that was his identity. Like they always played towards the bottom side of the map, and it was Mouse that was supposed to be low econ, push the pressure away, respect the enemy team until you bide your time for team fights. It was very strong strategically picking him up for this team so they can play around the true carries, Dubium and SMLZ, and that's what they're playing towards today.
He is up against Smeb though. This is a world-class top laner. We saw what Smeb could do in their last match. I mean, in a tank-on-tank matchup, Dr. Mundo against Singe, it looked like in every single small skirmish, he had kill pressure, no matter what the situation was.
Yeah, and you know what Jarvan's going to do. If he finds a situation post-6, wonder if he's picking up Electrocute, we'll find out in game. That if he ever finds a Rumble, he doesn't even necessarily need the help of his own jungler. That he can even just blow Flash and immediately know that Sejuani is going to be pathing to upside. So Mouse has to be super respectful, and a pick that, remember, if you don't play Rumble, knowing when you push out you need the help a lot of times, because if you're trading with your Flame Spitter, you're also pushing the lane passively. You're setting up for a gank a lot of the time. Flawless, even though he wants to be pulling towards bottom lane, there are going to be times where he's going to be pulling top lane because there's an unsafe wave. So there are so many small things about how Mouse has to play this matchup so he doesn't lose too much that matter here if Rogue Warriors want to pick up the early game win.
I mean, Smeb could try and force fights top lane as well. You've got the Galio in the mid lane being picked up by KT, so their top side is very brawl heavy. Tons of crowd control, great synergy with Sejuani's passive, with both of them being melee champions. We're really looking towards bottom lane as well. SMLC, the hyper carry for the side of Rogue Warriors. When Doinby is not put on a carry like Talon, he's not playing a champion like Kled or Aatrox in the mid lane, he is that support. We know him for picking up supports in the mid lane. We know him, as Pablo Smithy was talking on the desk earlier, for that man that builds things like Righteous Glory on Rides, goes as tanky as he can, but can carry at the same time. Really looking to try and see who is going to carry harder here. The super carry of Doinby Talon, or the emotionless robot that is SMLZ.
That's usually when you look at your watch and start biding time. We're about to get into this game because Talon's going to come in really early, right out the gate, having the damage, but SMLZ is going to bide his time when he has the items.
No easy match though, because yes, two great carries from the side of Rogue Warriors up against world-class players on the side of KT. We're getting to the final match of day one of Rift Rivals. KT Rolster taking on Rogue Warriors. Not even cohesion, Raz. Crowd doesn't even know who they're chanting for now. Just together in unison.
Oh, they'll come.
I mean, we were excited for the first match today. RNG taking off Flash Wolves, major upset. Flash Wolves taking it down decisively in the latter half of the game as well. This was the match I have been looking forward to. KT against Rogue Warriors.
I was on the desk. This was the match that I pointed out. I mean, it made a lot of sense that they scheduled this one to be the last match, because it's the one that answered a lot of questions of who is the stronger one of the two. If China had the LPL teams had a stronger setting, a deeper pool in teams, you see a lot of
SMLZ fans in the audience.
A lot of focus on him.
I mean, if you are new to, the LPL in general, SMLZ is dubbed as the man that has no emotion. We've seen him carry games for his team, where Doinby at the end of the match has fallen out of his chair, started dancing behind the team. And SMLZ emotionless, not a single smile.
Doesn't even look at him.
Doesn't even look at anything. Just looks at his screen, checks his stats, and then walks off the stage.
Man is very focused on one thing, as playing the damn game. That's a lot of laning phase stats come through. Team fights, he's just razor focused on his character and his character alone. So yeah, I feel like he's focused on one thing. And while Dubium is an entertainer who can perform, SMLZ cuts the man in the middle.
Yes. We're looking across from SMLZ's lane though. Deft now back in China, playing here at Dalian. He's gone back to the LCK to play for KT, paired up with Mata. These are just two names that you look on a roster and say, okay, this is going to be near impossible no matter who is going up against them. World-class players.
Yeah, Deft and Mata has had a large name, has been through LPL teams, had massive success on their RNGs and EDGs. They're doing quite well. In fact, if you're looking towards the LCK bottom laners, them and Prey and Gorilla are the only ones that are coming in with real strength, real power. So it's a good test for Rogue Warriors to see if SMLZ and Killua are up to snuff, because there's a lot of debate about the LPL AD carries. Bringing four super strong ones. SMLZ is one of them.
I mean, we've heard from Killua, it just feels like he understands SMLZ, a man that doesn't speak too much. And it's worked out well for him in the LPL. Now we have to see what KT Rolster is made of in this matchup.
I want to focus on the runes. You don't get to see him a lot.
Predator.
I was expecting Electrocute, but in fact, Predator, so he can look to roam out or find or catch a pick really strong. And then Time Warp Tonic is another one that I'm looking towards, as well as Stopwatch. So that's going to be fun to see. He's getting skirmished on.
Big damage coming out from Yukao in that mid lane. Chunks out Doinby, low on mana, and there's a Sejuani nearby. Does back away. Score forces him back to base.
And you notice that Flawless, of course, is on his Romp camp, so he's not going to have the help there. He needs to base now, come back in. Doesn't have the TP available for himself, so he's going to have to book it.
Force is going to be looking to try and hit level 6 and pick up his boots as fast as possible as well, picking up Predator on his Skarner. Seems like Doinby has Predator back into lane as well.
There we go.
Running straight down mid lane, jumping over turrets, gone for Cleanse as his summoner spell of choice.
Easy. Easy to get back to the lane for the wave, and the Cleanse makes it so there's no gank opportunity. Remember, this is a lot of CC on the side of KT's jungle mid. So if he ever gets cat up by taunt, he can cleanse flash immediately and doesn't have to follow through with the Sejuani ulti.
And that seems to be the focus coming out from KT, because you've got a very safe bottom lane of Ezreal Tomcats. Oh, takes a lot of damage from SMLZ, not in danger of falling there, but still good trades. And yes, very safe bottom lane from KT Rolster, but top side is very CC heavy. How do they use this to win the game?
Top side of KT is CC heavy?
Yeah.
Yep, 100%. I would say, I already made a mention that it's usually difficult to get Smeb in the fold just because the driving combination is very important in all of it. And so if you're going towards the bottom lane, it's usually easy to get the gank on towards Soraka, but it's hard to set up for. What is easy to set up for is the dive on towards Rumble. So I would expect them to actually have and place more vision controls. They already have a proper control ward being placed towards the top side of the map, as you can see in the top side river. Take advantage of that. It's not an electrocute on towards Jarvan, as I mentioned, I was looking out for. It's going to be the Grasping Undying. So it might not be the upfront damage, but he has a proper follow-up. So that's something that Mouse has to really respect. Take a look at the wave. And he's just sitting there because he knows that he cannot walk out. Doesn't know where Sejuani is, even though she's in the opposite side of the map.
Got a very early recall. You can see Rumble picking up Comet in the top lane. Put down a control ward in his own Tri-Brush to try and give him some vision control. Smeb yet to go back to base. Is ahead by 20 CS at the moment. Mouse will be able to equalize with this small wave that he has. About 9 to 10 minions there, but will still be behind Smeb. So he's done a good job early into the match, but hasn't blown his teleport just yet. Yeah,
he just has to lose out a lot. I mean, that's just what Mouse has been doing throughout the split. He ends up losing a lot in terms of the early laning phase, CS experience, and he understands that that's what you have to do in the team that he's set in. At the very least, he's respecting the pressure. Flawless going topside, taking Krugs. Very efficient because it allowed him, Rumble, to actually push up in his own wave. These are the small things that we wanted to see going out earlier in this game. I mean, they've only really just hit level 6. Jarvan should with this wave. So this is where the real fear comes in. But early on, I mean, it's not too bad.
Look at him parkour, Raz. He doesn't even jump over the turret. He just goes through it, kind of.
Isn't it exciting? All I want to see is Talon go to the bottom lane and get a kill on towards Mata with the Samsung jersey. That's what I want to see. I'm honest.
Is that what he's meant to do, though? Is Domibi's job to find access into the bottom lane? Because yes, it'd be great if he kills Mata with that skin, but is that his actual job? Because he's being ganked in the mid lane, holding on to the cleanse, still not using it, just using the ultimate ascendance. Actually a decent trade for him. Power goes fairly low as well.
I think he realized that they didn't have enough damage to follow up, and he would be safe enough. Remember, he still has full corrupting potions and Time Warp Tonic, so he's going to be able to heal up underneath the tower. So he's like, if I blow cleanse immediately, then I lose out. They can rehash the play again, and I'll end up dying out. So he's very patient in that setting. Most people would end up, blowing everything. Cleanse, flash, get me out of here.
I mean, his stopwatch is coming online as well, but bring it back to that. He's doing well in the lane. What is his job?
His job is push the lane, look for a side lane. I think top lane is still a doable job just because how Jarvan is fairly squishy in that sense. Going to the bottom lane is a little harder because there is a Tomcat, but there's always a time limit to a Tomcat swallow. So I would say that if you go bottom lane, you have to commit to bringing Flawless as well, so you can actually continue the dive. You just have to recognize the dive's going to take a little longer. So quick answer, want him to go bottom lane. I want him to get a kill in towards Deft, but he has to commit the full unit to do so.
Well, he's got Flawless close to the bottom side of the map. Playing Skarner in this game, he has been able to hit level 6 and has Predator boots available for himself. Now trying to pick up blue buff for Doinby. Doinby doing well in lane. In fact, most of the lanes for Rogue Warriors are doing well at the moment. SMLZ as well as Doinby have a CS lead. It's only really Jarvan, top side of the map, who is ahead of Mouse and Score, farming slightly better than Flawless at the moment.
And take a look at this. You mentioned the bottom lane skirmishes. They've been working well for Killua and SMLZ. Deft has decided going Sheen first and not upgrading the tier, just holding on to the Fairy Charm, saying that he wants to actually push back in this lane. He wants to poke back. He doesn't want to just sit underneath his tower and lose out. So the Sheen proc, he's valued that. I think it's the right choice simply because it's been working. He's losing out in mana. It's going to prolong his tier build, but that just means it's working out now. When he has the ability to buy tier, you need Score to be in the bottom side to give him a proper back time.
All right, 9 minutes in and he hasn't picked that up, so you'd expect him to go back to base soon. Galio was trying to cheat down into the bottom lane. They had Score in the back pocket of Deft and Marta's lane, but no action taking place there either. Top side's just been a farm fest. Now that ultimate is available for Mouse, if he gets into a sticky situation, he can just throw down the equalizer, clear out the way, but Deft's not going back yet. Probably waiting for his teleport to come back up, it seems like.
Yeah, he's really just comes down to the fact that he's waiting for as long as he can to get just not only the tier itself, but so if he does face, he doesn't end up losing too much experience or time or push. A lot of that is something that he values. Right now, KT is doing a wonderful job just today, focusing around proper back timings and being a much more disciplined team, things they lacked so far in the split, in the LCK. And going up against Rogue Warriors, that would be a great thing to do because Rogue Warriors are a team that usually skip a few steps when they're going for a fight and can get punished. Recently up against EDG in the last week, I mean, in the LPL, they were undefeated, had perfect Baron control. And then they went up against a well-oiled, controlled team of EDG and they lost 0-2 for the exact same reason that feels like they have to be well aware of the control going into a lot of these skirmishes and just know that they can't dig themselves off of just blind TP, seeing if they can pick every fight with the champions that they have. Because they're skilled players, but they need to know that the setup is important.
They can't make unforced errors. If you make an unforced error against a team like KT, that's it. They're going to capitalize.
Oh!
Good damage onto SMLZ, and Deft is relentless. Still trying to poke at the solution Soraka duo. Doing a good job. Flawless is here waiting in the wings. Flash is available, Predator is available for him as well, but he's not going for that play. Doinby going for a fight against Yukao in the mid lane. Locked down. Jarvan is here as well. Could be a big fight for them. Flag, drag, does he get the knockup? Doinby gets out in time.
Yeah, so he can't follow up with the ulti. Of course, the invis is up for way too long. So that just means that Doinby has to base. And then the bottom lane, SNLZ had no mana, so he had to base. Proper timing for KT, going towards Inferno.
Get the Inferno Dragon for themselves. Doesn't seem like Rogue Warriors will contest for the Elemental. Picked up easily by KT Rolster.
And this is just swift movement from KT as a whole. I mean, bottom lane happened, got the push onto that one, and that was just a 2v2, so there's not much involved from that one. That was just literally, you know, Deft and Mata playing well in that regard. And then immediately, Smeb had a push in the top lane, and actually just went bottom. I mean, went straight towards mid, so he's making a lot of the time that he's had in the top side of the map well worth it.
Well, after watching KT play earlier today and now in this match against the Rogue Warriors, it seems like their entire strategy for Rift Rivals group stage so far, has been to frustrate teams to death.
That's one thing. I'd say learn, but frustrating makes sense too.
No, frustrate, not learn.
You can learn to frustrate. That's what they're doing, man.
Why would you want to learn to frustrate?
That's honestly the simple way of saying they're so good at macro, I want to fight them, but they won't let me do it. So they're frustrating them. They're learning how to frustrate people with smarter plays.
And they've picked up a nice 500 gold lead for themselves. Not much, 12 minutes into the match, but a lead nonetheless. Infernal Dragon being picked up for them as well. That will help them out nicely later on in the match. Mount Dragon's going to be the next Elemental Dragon to spawn. Blade of the Ruin King already complete for SMLZ, so a nice item power spike for him. Tier has now been picked up by Deft. Used his teleport to get back into lane and is going towards the Iceborne Gauntlet, so not the Trinity Force from Ezreal.
Yeah, I mean, has the extra armor for the laning phases, which I'm happy about. The trading
as well
happens there. Glacial Shroud will do its job, has the Tomcats. There's a lot of safetiness here in the bottom side of the map. It's really forcing Rogue Warriors to really commit as a team because usually you'd see SMLZ and Killua. I mean, if there's no gank happening in the bottom side of the map, 2v2, they can make something work. A lot of solo kills happen in the LPL. Duo kills if you're talking about bottom lane, but not a lot in the LCK. In fact, looking through the stats, we had a Kuro graphic a little earlier on. I mean, he's top in the rankings of it.
Yes.
And like, while in the LPL, you're like, oh my goodness, 5 solo kills. Put him in the top. LCK, like 2-to-1 solo kills. It's insane that is their highest point because there's so much structure. And the structure is really what's forcing Rogue Warriors to start to think a little bit more.
It's not the brawl-heavy match that they would kind of want, not the one that they excel at. Score's looking for a gank in the bottom lane, but SMLZ and Killua are playing very safe. Galio is not rotating down just yet, still sitting in the mid lane, being pushed in by Doinby, so hasn't had access to roam into the bottom lane.
They're trying to bait them to do anything right now. Trying to see if Skarner comes out of the woodworks.
I mean, that's what you'd want to do, right? If KT are going to play this structured play and Rogue Warriors like to be aggressive.
Oh!
Baiting out something like this makes sense. Make Rogue Warriors make the mistake. Doesn't happen there. Good, respectful flash coming out from SMLZ. Gets away from danger.
He anticipated it. I mean, if you see an Ezreal just E up to you with no reason, At that point, you have to have in the back of your head, there's a Sejuani possibly here. They've been pushing out. We have no vision in the bottom lane bushes. So he was aware of it, and he had the mechanics to respond with a proper flash. Well done from Rogue Warriors here.
Well, Flawless tries to use this time to counter jungle, can't contest the red buff from Score, but is able to take the Raptor campers away. Meanwhile, Doinby zoning Yukal away from the outer turret.
That's a sad chicken.
That is scary. He's 30 CS up, Res.
Look, that's fabulous. But he needs to make it work right now. While denying him from experience is lovely. At this point in time, Dubium doesn't want to just find himself sitting here for that long. See if he can find a way with the Duskblade that he's asked for himself to get out of here.
Well, he's taking a lot of damage, pops the ultimate again, and it just seems like that's Doinby's "this is my disengage" button.
I mean, a lot of people has been visiting his lane. I mean, the fact that he's able to hold flash in a lot of these instances has been phenomenal. So, yeah, Smeb comes in, Score comes in a few times, and it just gets frustrating at that point that, yeah, he's blowing his ultimate, but at the very least, it's a really slow cooldown. You can come back for the next time.
Good job coming out from KT, but it hasn't led to any advantages yet. The game is dead even. No big fights from either side. So how do these two teams actually win the match? Because at this point, we're going to be playing Farming Simulator 2018.
It's very likely. I think the fact that Deft picked up Iceborne immediately makes it so it's so much harder for Rogue Warriors to get a fight on the bottom side of the map. It comes down to execution of top laners more often now, because Mouse, we haven't heard Adam, very silent man himself. So if he comes down to the bottom side of the map and makes a flashy ulti work, if they can set up properly for that, Rogue Warriors have that dive in the bank. You're building so much towards the armor. Of course, Rumble's going to be able to burn you with the fact that he's going to be going into double magic penetration.
I mean, the recent patches gave him a slight buff as well, especially with the ultimate getting a bit more damage. Fights in the mid lane. Doinby's going to get locked down. In fact, Marta's going to try and join us. KT looking to collapse on towards Talon. Jumps over one wall, flashes away from the ultimate, gets over the next, but Score's going to follow through. He does the dose-to-do, spotted out by the sweeper lens, so they know exactly where Talon is. KT are going to try and collapse. Doinby staying in fog of war, gets between the two turrets, takes two shots. The flash forward from Yukal gets a summoner, but first blood picked up by KT.
Unfortunate when he pressed his ultimate, they were still able to find him simply based off that red trinket. So at the end of the day, he was so close to getting out of there, but just way too low HP.
Finally, they punished Doinby for playing aggressive, moving deep into enemy territory every time Yukal was zoned off. Was able to escape with that ultimate, not this time. Good collapse coming up from KT.
Added more members to the mix, and also just committed to using the Tomcats ultimate. So bottom lane was ready for it, and made it so he had to take the adventurous way.
But seems like Rogue Warriors want to attack bottom lane. Deft going to be eaten up by Mata, and there's a teleport coming in. There's no more protection for the Ezreal. Spat back up, but they focus on the Tomcats. Mouse trying to keep Deft occupied. Kahlua tanking the turret, but Mata's going to fall first. Rogue Warriors find a pick in the bottom lane.
You wanted to see Mouse come in there. He needed to be able to join for this dive to work out. It was very easy, just because Sejuani was on the top side of the map. Just sad to him that he didn't get an assist from it because he was so focused on towards the Ezreal.
They burnt a teleport. Kahlua very low. Deft playing very
I ain't
aggressive.
done with you
SMLC
yet.
dashes forward. Doesn't get slowed by Mouse. Mouse overhitting. Smacks him with the drill. Rogue Warriors get another pick, and they're looking for first turret. They don't get it, however. KT used the Rift Herald top lane. Take down that first structure. Rogue Warriors respond, and now the two teams are fighting.
Yeah, I felt like KT were in a great position, but no reason for Deft to be so damn close to that tower. Let it go. Rift Herald's being placed topside. I think that he just played way too greedily. Even if the Galio's in the back, that's a teamfight win for Rogue Warriors. So just, you don't have to do too much. You're trying to do too much.
You might need to tell Deft to let it go, but you can't hold him back anymore, Raz, because he was aggressive there. Cost him his life. SMLZ picks up a 30 CS lead as well as the second turret of the match. Rogue Warriors still dead even against KT Rolster in this game. But it was Rogue Warriors that attacked the bottom side. KT did attack the top side. Mouse was not there, so they just got the turret. Doinby picked up the free farm in the top lane.
And remember, they committed a TP for that. J4 didn't have it, so he's going to have his TP upcoming soon. So Rogue Warriors did put in some resource to make it happen, and it turned into a trade. You can hear the crowd here. They're making their predictions known. The Rogue Warriors need more with the investment that they've been putting in. J4 is going to have his TP. Pushing up top lane right now, he's going to be able to join these team fights and try and find a numbers advantage.
Well, they're able to take a Mountain Dragon at least, so they tie up the Elemental Dragons taken in this game. So very even between the two. mean, you can see all the respect that's coming out from KT Rolster as every single player has Ninja Tabby.
That's fun.
They know exactly what this Talon as well as the Lucian can do.
That's a major point of their damage up front, and it puts a lot of responsibility on towards Mouse in the top side of the map if he can actually get a lot of the damage out early. Remember, I wonder what let's see, what boots does he have? I don't think he has boots at all, actually.
No,
pretty unfortunate.
It's a very, very slow rumble.
Yeah, I'm very sad about that. But if he gets magic penetration boots, if he gets to a point where he's able to just do like true damage to the backline, that would be phenomenal. So I want to see what his impact is, because that responsibility does shift on towards him.
Look, Ravs, you don't need boots if you have a very scary mask.
Does he have a scary mask?
He's got the Leandri's Torments. There's blood coming out of the eyes.
That's a little bit too scary.
All right, if you start bleeding from the eyes, then look, I'm not going to take you to hospital then. It's not that scary, right? We're good?
I feel like that damages me more than buff you up, but I'm just going to have a problem with that entirely.
Oh, he still has it going towards Boots just yet, sitting on the control ward. As well as that refillable potion. A lot of members from both KT as well as Rogue Warriors are grouping up in the mid lane. Even Score trying to sweep away Vision behind the mid lane outer turret. This is below half health, so KT can make a push to try and take this structure.
Could look even to dive it. Remember, looking at Skarner's positioning, not in position to really deal with Score's Pickoff. And remember that, unless he gets caught out.
Sweeper doesn't see him, but sees the ward. Score is going to come out from the flank, locks down floors to start, gets healed by them, pulling back to Sejuani. Kalua's keeping the front line alive, and Score very low after that fight.
And Rumble's going to come in here, so they should be able to protect this mid lane. That entire engage of Score to be able to get Flawless does not work.
Now it's Doinby's turn. He's found a nice flank for himself behind all the members of KT. Throws out the Rake. Doesn't get too much damage, doesn't get the flank he wanted, but it's just an ARAM at the moment. Both teams grouping up in the mid lane, looking at each other very angrily, Raz.
That was interesting. And I think right now, Rogue Warriors, they're so close to death way too often.
Oh, they're collapsing though. Mouse gonna get caught out, throws down the ultimate, gonna get locked down, and he'll be the first pick, picked up by KT off the back of that fight, out of position.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, that's just that easy. He holds Flash. Not too sure if he had it. In fact, he didn't have it at the time. He was very close to having it. So, that point, he's just out of position. That's facts. And so he just needs to watch himself in that time. Talon was heading straight towards bottom lane, didn't have the numbers.
Well played, they didn't have the ultimate for Sejuani, but Smeb as well as Score was still able to collapse onto Mouse, get his ultimate, they get a pick, and use that pick to take down mid lane outer turret, putting themselves ahead of Rogue Warriors, about 2,000 gold up now.
That's a mid lane tower down. Even with Talon finding himself in the side lane, he needs to, his focus is actually just not splitting anymore. It's mostly push and rotate, because KT as a team should be rotating towards the Baron buff. Pushing up top lane, setting them up around Baron. They have a lot of pick potential with the composition that they have, so they can use it to instill condition Rogue Warriors into thinking that they're just picking too long and then they can rush Baron. There are so many strategies they can utilize here around the pick. The control ward is going to be important on towards KT, and it pulls Rogue Warriors towards them.
We just haven't seen that side of the strategy from Rogue Warriors. I mean, the Talon pick, we didn't see too much from it early except for controlling mid lane against UCal. Everyone from KT is fairly tanky. He's not going to be able to one-shot anyone unless he finds Deft alone. Maybe Smeb in a side lane. But with Tomcats and the team, with all the crowd control, it just feels impossible almost for Doinby to find access to the backlines and actually deal the damage that Talon should be able to.
Cleanly put, there's not as a lot of setup for the Talon. If he has early, push in mid lane in the early game, excellent. Goes bottom lane, there's not a lot of CC to actually make it worthwhile. Same thing happened top lane. It looks like he's going to be the target here.
Oh no, lots of members collapsing into the bottom lane. Deft is here as well, gets him in invisibility. He's now trying to dodge away from the ultimate of Sejuani. Score holds it, but they burn the summoner spell of Talon.
And he's just become a consistent target since the beginning of the game. Hasn't been able to leave his own laning phase. He hasn't had access to his own ultimate unless if it's just to defend himself. It's really frustrating if you're doing because the strategy is revolving him leaving lane and impacting somewhere else, but it's constantly KT finding him.
KT is still trying to attack, but that's Flawless going forward, locking down the Tomcats. Mata forced to flash away, but on the flip side, Kahlua gets caught out, flashes away, still gets killed. Mata goes low, but Smeb gets into the fight. Mouse with a big flank, they're tower diving, KT are low. Locale gets the first kill, Mata gets burnt alive. That's a crispy toad, but a double picked up by Galio. Mouse comes up big with a double himself. KT are still trying to hurt him. Deft is very low. The chicken jumps back in, but that's a golden rumble. Doimbi wants access into the fight. Gets back in, pops the ultimate. Mouse with another, but Deft cleans it up. Will die to the turret, and only Smeb's left alive.
That's insanity. It took so long that even Soraka came back to life from the beginning of it. And it was all based off of the pick potential from Flawless catching on towards score, and then the problem, or at least it was on towards bottom lane of Tomcats. And then the flank comes through from Mouse. Such a beautiful TP. I know we'll see the TP, or at least the replay immediately afterwards, but so well done from Rogue Warriors with how far behind they were.
We get to look at that again, because the fight started with Flawless locking down Mata.
Instantly catches onto him. Only problem is on the opposite side, Killua dies, but the flank TP, you already see Rumble coming in from behind, while KT doubled down for a dive on towards Dubium and Wallis. The Rumble ulti makes it so much harder for the backline to even support it. Mata goes down, Deft is out of there, scores to follow. So it was just a weird follow-up from KT to even look for the dive. That was a success overall, and then they tried a little bit too hard.
Good use of the stopwatch by Mouse. Doimbi jumps back in to at least trade back evenly. Def will die to turret at the end, but it was so close. I mean, a turret, one more turret shot on Smeb, he would have died. Would have been an ace for an ace. But KT hold on to the gold lead they were previously able to acquire. Push for more. Take down that bottom lane in a turret. 4,000 gold up, now working on an Elemental Dragon. Big play by Mouse, though. I mean, this is the player that we look towards and say, you know what? He's a top lane tank player. He's going to be a big sponge. Did the most damage for Rogue Warriors in that fight. He's now 4-2-0, and he was blazing through the last team fight.
Yeah, I mean, Mouse in team fights since EDG to here has always been phenomenal. It's just getting to that point and supporting your primary cast. And also remember, Rogue Warriors are at their scariest when they find themselves behind because they keep fighting. They up the ante a lot of the time. And so the tempo keeps going up, and if you're KT looking to dive, it'll just find one mistake. Rogue Warriors are a team that can punish it. So that's what you have to watch out here. KT cannot find themselves taking these risky dives that they do when they're in the LCK. They need to be able to play discipline a lot more slowly. They're now pressuring around Baron. It's a nice start.
We need to see the same discipline that we saw from KT in their last match, because they've been known not to be able to close out games that well. They need to close out this match against Rogue Warriors, put LCK ahead of the LPL after day one, because whoever wins this match will be leading for their region going into day two. They're still trying to set up. Rogue Warriors still have good wards, and Smeb almost getting caught out. Flawless going to try and collapse. No flash available for Javan. Gets pulled back. SMLZ throws out the ultimate just for the cooldown. Smeb still alive. Will be the first to fall. Great equalizer once again. Kahlua very low, stuck inside the Raptor pit. Mouse burning alive. He's going to come out of stasis, and he will fall as well. KT turn around the fight. Flawless is next. One more shot from Deft is going to be enough. Somehow KT win it.
Yeah, and you know what? SMLZ and Dubium are the only ones alive. You're KT, you focus straight towards the Baron. It's just going to be difficult now because you have to push SMLZ and Dubium back. They're incredibly healthy.
And KT have 4 members alive that looked like Rogue Warriors would be able to pick up the kills there. That is not going to be the case. Yes, SMLZ and Doimbi going to look to try and jump in, but Deft being aggressive. SMLZ wants to jump in. Doimbi already chunked out by the Ezreal. They know they have to sacrifice this Baron, and that's what they'll do. KT pick it up, and they're opening up this match.
A proper chunk to push them out. And that we're going to see it very soon. And it was all in towards the fact that, yeah, you pick up Jarvan. But remember, we saw this in the SKT set. Galio is always a beautiful follow-up. It may be an impromptu engage, but he's going to make it worthwhile. Sejuani had a flank too, so they were all prepared for this one. Even though the Rumble ulti comes in hot, it's SMLZ out of position. The Talon that has to reposition as well. Flawless cannot work around these teamfight when he's flanked around by multiple members. So SKT recovered, or at least KT in this regard.
I mean,
in a very well fight.
Last match, we saw Wolf deliver FLICKR into the backlines on Galio by being headbutted into the base. This time round, Flawless is able to drag Smeb into his entire team, to which Yukal's like, sure, I will take that, no problem. Thank you for assisting my squad. Thank you for allowing me to get an ultimate off.
It's one way to start a fight. And the fact that now he's back on the map and he has Guardian Angel, so it's not even a true pick. Right now, Rogue Warriors are so focused on this pick composition because their primary focus is going to be the Skarner, and now he starts the fight. But who do they actually go on towards? They're never going to get Deft. He's way too far behind a lot of tanks. And towards Tomcats, Galio, Sejuani, now GA Jarvan. There's not a lot of right options here.
Well, they're going to try the exact same play again. Flawless is waiting inside the brush, gets spotted out by the Q, wants to turn back around, but it's Score and Mata, tanky members coming out from the side of KT. Difficult at the moment for Rogue Warriors to team fight, it seems. Baron's going to be used top side of the map. Easy turret taken down by Yukao.
We've seen KT play today. If you're not going to give them a fight, they'll be taking around the turrets around you. So they have the Baron buff. They have a Galio in the top lane pulling one member. The primary focus is now going to be this mid lane tower with the poke that Ezreal provides.
Oh! SMLZ, a couple of auto attacks and he's already below half health. Killua will keep him healed up. Deft's not stopping. This man's a monster and he already has been on Ezreal. Pushing in towards the inhibitor turret in the, the inner turret in the mid lane. Still Arcane shifting forward. Has his QSS, has a Tomcats behind him. He's not afraid of Flawless at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to stop here, so it is going to be an inhibitor turret. It's on Rogue Warriors to draw the line somewhere.
Doinby did get spotted out by wards, and KT know exactly where he is. Score down to half health. SMLC using the culling, but is not going to get the Essence Reaver proc anymore. Instead, they collapse on towards Galio top lane. If Galio's going to not be able to protect someone! Yukao with the flash! The follow-up from Score is beautiful! This is the team fight for KT! Collapsing! Already getting 2 kills to kick things off. Doinby forced to use the ultimate to get away. SMLC can't get his team alone. Deft forces him into golden stasis. Everyone collapses. And Rogue Warriors, just like that, they thought they hunted the hunter. Not going to be the case.
He blew them up. It was insanity. Literally flash taunt and obliterated the Soraka.
Beautiful.
Well, this is when you back it up, boys. I mean, this is rough. Rogue Warriors, this is the same playbook Rogue Warriors have whenever they're behind. Flank at all costs and find a rogue member. But then this, so beautifully put. Smashing towards Killua, immediately out of the fight, so you don't even have the heals. Gone. And then it's an easy pickings from that point forward because they were in the mid lane, so they're going to be coming up right quick. And so Rogue Warriors had to come out of there.
The cohesion coming out from KT also was just beautiful. I mean, you collapse into Yukao, says, you know what, I can turn this run around myself. Had the boost of armor and magic resistance from Aftershock as well. Collapsed on 3 members, Smear blocking down everyone after killing Killua. Rogue Warriors just seem mismatched in this 3rd seed game.
They're starting to realize, like, against the top teams, there are no stragglers. That a lesson they learned last week versus EDG, that they tried their flank plays when they were behind, but the problem was that they were always ready, they were always in position. This time around, KT had placed a proper amount of control wards, so Talon couldn't flank them in the mid lane. So obviously, he's going to make a call, go top lane to the rogue Galio. But they were in the mid lane, they're already moving towards you now. So they couldn't make a quick job on towards Galio. It's impossible. So it feels like, and it is, pure desperation, and it's not working as well as it has in the past.
Sometimes Rogue Warriors break the meta like we saw in their first 5 matches of the LPL, and it works out fantastic. But after their match against EDG and now their first game at Rift Rivals, the strategies and the swaps that they've made haven't been working out, especially in this match, throwing in the Talon. We haven't seen much from Doinby's Talon. Flawless has not looked great on the Skarner so far. Mouse is actually the member that's stepping up today.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, while he's stepping up, at this point, it's KT calling it. Making the proper items play. Even though they've lowered the items, that's a Gunblade on Deft. Deft has been doing so well hitting every Q that he's just waiting for the person to burst down.
Deft is not afraid at the moment. Said KT without Baron buff, still move towards mid lane. Doinby being locked down, forced to use his ultimate to disengage. Nobody from KT's taking damage. They lock down Score, bring him back in. That'll be the first casualty. Mouse gets his another kill in this match, pushing KT back away. Killua's forced back to the fountain. Rogue Warriors' health bars are low, so they should still lose their inhibitor.
Yeah, even with that one pick, it still doesn't matter when they lose their inhib and almost lose their own support. So KT still coming into base, saying that that's a success, and they're going to just run rampant into their own jungle. So right now, Rogue Warriors have to find a more reliable solution, and it feels like Baron is going to be the call, unless it's Yukao.
There will be a Tomcats trying to jump back in, but Rogue Warriors look for the fight. Flawless in trouble. Doinby forced to use the ultimate again. Smeb separates the team, brings UK on the back lines. Mouse was trying to do as much work as possible, but it's just not enough. Deft able to single out SMLZ, gets the team fight he was looking for, and KT are looking towards the Nexus.
Yep, 40-second death timers, and they already have the minions right beside them. Easy as pie. Rogue Warriors are trying to find a skirmish that they had no way of winning.
They were trying to find a way to turn around the match, but 10,000 gold behind at the time, it's just not enough. One pick, not going to be enough. Deft keeping Doinby on the fountain as well. They're moving towards the Nexus, and with this win, LCK lead the pack after day one.
In such clean ways, too. KT, 2 games, back to back, and it feels like KT has just found a new identity in a slower, smarter team going up against the other third-seeded teams. Right now, it feels hard for Rogue Warriors, and they're learning a hard lesson about 3 weeks into the split that LPL, yeah, they seemed real good, but they still have to play a smarter game. They can't rely on the mechanics. KT's learned that lesson here today.
It just seems like the more you struggle against KT Rolster, the harder their grip becomes, the harder it is to fight back. Second time a very similar playstyles come out from them. We saw that in their match against the LMS. 5 kills in that game. Against Rogue Warriors, they're not afraid to let them play their crappy brawl, their brawl style. And take it to them with a slow pace match. Make sure that they don't get to play the way they want to.
And it feels very intimidating going into day 2. That KT looked this good. Now remember, playing 2 games, bid them adieu, won't be seeing them tomorrow. And it looks like they've just set the stage here for the rest of the LCK teams going to day 2. That you really have to dethrone them in the mentality department. They will draw you out. And if things go the way they are, you might be seeing them once again in the grand finals, waiting for the LPL and LMS teams to go at it.
That win, as we mentioned, means that LCK stay in front after day 1. And we saw RNG lose earlier today. Yes, we saw a 1 loss coming out from LCK, and LMS being able to pick up a victory so far in that upset. KT Rolster's last match during the group stage performed incredibly well. Difficult strategy to play against. And now we only be able to see them during the blind relay, whichever team they go up against. They have to be ready to deal with this.
Yep. I mean, remember, it's a best of 1. Rogue Warriors decided to take that best of 1 and have a composition to 3 picks you would usually never see. The Talon, Soraka a little bit, the Rumble. It just didn't work out for them. They had very obvious flaws, but the strengths were in their mid lane. KT Rolster recognized that, and you can see them flatlining, moving straight down. Yep. They just went straight towards Dubium.
It just seemed like Rogue Warriors had this unorthodox team composition where they had bits and pieces of the puzzle, but just not a full, complete picture. Whereas KT were like, we know exactly what this puzzle looks like, we know exactly how to solve it, and put the pieces together nice and slowly, and did so in both their matches today.
Yeah, and I would say that if I were to look at the pick ban and change one thing, I would give Flawless a more empowering pick, so you can actually utilize the 2v2 a little bit better. Okay. The problem here, a lot of it was just Talon was on his own, and in most cases, if Skarner comes out and finds a Sejuani, then it's going to be a Galio collapse, Jarvan collapse with how well he was doing. If he was on, I throw Kindred a lot because that's a score pick, but just essentially a ranged jungler, Graves could do the job as well. All you really want is the talent to be able to leave the lane and have support in the laning phase. Didn't happen, but ultimately, now moving on to day 2, the time to restructure, rejuvenate. Rogue Warriors still have 1 more game, and we get to see that going into day 2.
They have to bounce back from not only the end of season loss that they had against EDG in the LPL, but now after day 1, not being able to pick up a victory against KT, already showing a couple of their strategies. For the LCK side, they don't get to see KT play anymore during the group stage, but they're going to try and use their other teams to try and pick up more points, potentially the pack after day 2. But let's send it back to the analyst desk to break down that match.
Thank you so much. Again, Fish and Raz, good cast on the day. Papa, you were shaking your head no. You were like, I got to go with KT. I'm not 100% certain. What did you know? Did you like bump into Rogue Warriors behind when they came on stage? Did they say they were going to play Talon?
What I know is that I've been around this KT roller coaster for a long time. From my name, you know, I'm a bit of an old guy.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of these KT games. I heard people there talking about how KT had turned a new leaf. No, no, no. This day, they played very, very well. They should be rewarded for their play. And there are little technical things as we go on to explain how the game unfolded, because you look at the drafts, and it's very easy to be results-oriented and say, well, one of them, just Teamfight's really good. Don't know what the other one was doing. Yeah. The other one was trying to snowball, and there were very precise decisions made by KT to stop that snowball.
Yeah, a couple big ones is avoiding all of the power spikes coming out from Rogue Warriors. They are basically looking for that first dragon fight there, and KT basically did avoid all of those. Their itemization was also incredibly good. We saw the ninja tabbies come out from across the board, and also like you mentioned, the Sheen in the bot lane, keep the mana going, get the teleports correctly. There just wasn't any chance for Rogue Warriors to win that. If you're running an assassin, you need kills before 30 minutes, and when 30 minutes hit, Doinby had 2 assists, so that's a fail right there.
You look at this draft, and it's so good, the draft from Rogue Warriors, of packing up and go on bot lane, because you have double Predator, the jungler and also the mid laner, who can get there fast, overwall, Skarner get the guaranteed engage, and you should have a priority lane. Why is there a Soraka? Because Soraka versus Tomcats, he takes harass, and then there's no sustain being provided. So you understand the theory of, well, Talon wants to get those kills on the bot lane, let's kill Tomcats, let's kill Ezreal, let's just absolutely pummel that lane. Going Sheen first and never getting tier actually gave him, by him, Deft lane priority. He was able to take it in the middle or push it in from time to time. Never did we see Talon go bot lane. In fact, you think of the other scenario, why not just go kill the Sejuani who falls low in the jungle? Never could he even easily get in the jungle, and the Galio there to also cover that one. So when it came to playmaking, they were just so frustrated as Rogue Warriors.
It seems as though KT were able to effectively identify that this composition was coming out from Rogue Warriors and pivot on the spot in-game. We were surprised. We saw the Talon. The crowd cheered. There was the Jarvan. There was the Rumble. It was all surprising, but KT, cool as a cucumber, said, all right.
KT knew Rogue Warriors comp better than Rogue Warriors themselves knew it. That's what it felt like right there. I really love their itemization, because their idea was, if you're coming in, you're going to come in for directions we know. They didn't have the hard CC for the instant lockdown, so they were very slow in converging. And every time they went in the team fight, KT just struck first. They found the Kahlua, they took out a target. There was a Triforce and a GA built on the Jarvan just for that burst damage there. So very good reading of the compositions, and very unexpected from KT, because they won by pulling back.
And let's rewind a little bit, pull back in terms of the draft, because you just mentioned the name, Jarvan. This is the first Jarvan game, I believe, in almost any region. It's not been played in the jungle, certainly not top lane. That's an old favorite that we've seen from Smeb in the past. Smeb loves the flank teleport. We saw the cannon band. AP Cannon is one of his standbys. If you go full AD Jarvan into a Rumble, eventually Rumble can't enter lane. It's just too much damage. He'll die in one rotation. Smeb played it well, and it was also a last-second swap, so just something he's been holding back for a moment like this.
Yeah, we've actually got a replay exemplifying the strengths of that Jarvan. It was KT pushing the tier 2 of Rogue Warriors after already picking up an advantage. It starts off with an attempted pick from Flawless.
And it just takes so long for Rogue Warriors actually to get in position. Their pieces don't have the hard CC necessary for the instant lockdown and the instant burst damage. They see Mouse coming down the minion wave, but they don't really care. And to be honest, this could have gone very poorly for KT, but they did have the power overall with the pick on the Soraka early to finish it off.
And in 2 games, this is the one you'd point out and be like, okay, that's a KT throw right there. Opting into what looked like a 4,000 damage equalizer and the really bad positioning, and yet they still cleaned it up. And guess what? When you play a really clean early game and have a gold lead going into that moment where you make a slight sidestep, you don't lose the game straight out. And that was the difference from KT in previous metas. Sometimes they had already made a couple smaller mistakes, and then the bigger one just snowballed it.
Yeah.
I just want to go back and talk about the talent pick, because LMS was the first region out of the Refillable region to bring it out.
Go on.
Yeah. And the way we build it is we make sure that there's skirmish points all across the map, because the big thing about Talon is not actually the burst assassination, it is the assassin's path. A lot of times teams cannot correctly estimate how long you're going to get into the team fight, because you get 800 range every single leap, and you can do that multiple times in terms of the jungle. So I would have liked to see a Pyke, more skirmish-oriented picks going against their own jungle, like not the Skarner versus Sejuani, which a lot of times the Skarner actually does not win.
Yeah.
So if they have more points where they could win and push contest and then have the Talon roam towards them, I think that would have been a better composition.
And Talon has also been played a lot in Korea, and that's why I want to extend your point is Talon is not a once-off cheese pick we won't see again. We will see more Talon, and actually in Korea, you look at solo queue, it's Talon with Smite.
Yeah.
The idea that you walk up to the Raptor, smite the big one, rake the rest. You take a Talisman so you get that health back. You enter lane level 2, start popping over walls. If you're against a funnel, you can just find the enemy funneled like 80 carry and just assassinate him. You have the ability to hit side lanes. Against Sejuani and also Galio, you can't go the Smite because then you just die. But I wonder if there was a less CC jungler, would we have seen the first appearance of that Smite? Because that is the dominant summoner spell in high elo Korean solo queue.
Something to be expected, though the Impale did set up for an attempted fight for Rogue Warriors a little bit after that replay we saw at the bottom tier 2, and it was Smeb who was the target. They were able to identify, hey, Smeb is starting to get pretty big. Perhaps we should try to get him rid or separate him from his team. But then just the immediate Galio flank, able to get the the hero's entrance, and then even the Tomcats joining into the fight as well.
The big team fight here is if you realize Rogue Warriors are never going to win unless they pick off Deft first. Like, it's so hard to actually stick any damage onto the Ezreal, and even with such a good start, they are cornered in with the hard CC. They are locked down. They never put any damage on Deft whatsoever. And I think if you're running an assassin composition, you do need lockdown somewhere on your composition.
Or to snowball, right? A different game where Deft goes Sheen and he's pushed in and Sejuani's killed and then bot lane's killed. It's a totally different game and there's access for the assassin's path into the backline. In that team fight, Tomcats was running after Talon just to keep him out of the fight. He wasn't worried about devouring allies. He was assassinating people themselves, and that's a good sign that your early game snowball went bad.
Yeah, hate to see that happen. Of course, Cal, he's going to pop up in our last replay here as Rogue Warriors are able to try and find that one final pick. But look at this.
3-man taunt to back up his 5-man taunt just a few days ago against Griffin. That was actually Cal's comeback game after a bit of an early season issues with some of his champion pool and his positioning in team fights. The first Galio was great. The second Galio even better in this game. So yeah, Galio looking like a solid pick for KT. And guess what? If you make a mistake and you push too far up, that Galio ultimate, pretty useful.
Yeah, you absolutely pay the price. That being said, KT taking the win. We heard it from the casters.
Never in doubt. Never in doubt. 100%.
I doubt that.
Yeah.
I doubt that.
What you saying? What you saying?
They played well. They played well. They played
okay,
well. They played unexpectedly.
You know,
well.
one of these days, Clement, we're actually going to have to ask which of the two regions you're really rooting for, the LPL or the LMS.
Hey, I got two horses in this.
You do.
I got two horses, okay?
Alrighty.
I can ride them both.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, here you can see the teams with the standings. It's LCK with 3 wins, LPL with 2, and LMS with 1 at the end of day 1 of the best Rift Rivals in the world.
I believe LPL only has 1 as well.
EDG and Invictus Gaming.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, and the standings.
Let's confirm.
You see it right there. Wonderful. I'm so glad that we've got this to double check all the mathematics that we can see.
My bad.
And again, all of the other teams are going to be playing again tomorrow to round it out for 8 from everyone. The LPL 0-1, 1-0. Rogue Warriors dropping their first game. Invictus Gaming, as is expected, taking their win with Aatrox.
It was really great seeing EDG. They looked fantastic against FLICKR. I'd like to see them tomorrow. My question to you is, we will eventually see the schedule for tomorrow, and LMS obviously has to play its remaining games. Can you see a team other than Flash Wolves picking up a win on the LMS side?
Ooh, that's such a difficult one. I have to say I have a little faith in G-Rex versus FLICKR, but that's more about the morale thing. G-Rex themselves have been in a very tough spot. However, on the LCK side, we are going to see Kingzone for the first time in group stages.
Bit weird that we haven't seen 2 of those teams playing till tomorrow. Kingzone are back in some ways, not in others. And even when it comes to starting junglers, sometimes Cuz is playing, sometimes Peanut is. So a lot of questions still about Kingzone Dragon X.
You can see that schedule on your screen. Kingzone in our last game of the day, taking on Royal Never Give Up in the MSI Grand Finals rematch.
Ooh.
I know there's a lot that I'm hyped for, but I want to hear what you guys are looking forward to as well.
I really want to see Kingzone versus Flash Wolves to see which Kingzone is here, because sometimes it's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with this team. Even lineup-wise, are they starting Cuz? Are they starting Peanut? You think Peanut, but Cuz sometimes recently has got the nod.
Yeah, I definitely want to go for Invictus Gaming versus SKT, the two best mid laners facing up against each other. Of course, Rookie was our MVP in the spring split. And FLICKR has been playing as good as always. I just don't want to see him on the Galio again.
Can't promise that one won't come out.
Yeah, at best we're going to find out tomorrow as those games roll around at you. But that's going to do it for us for this day 1 of Rift Rivals 2018. Hype as heck. I don't think it quite went as we expected. LCK with off to the early lead. with this
Hey.
day one.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I was pretty confident.
I don't know. Look, if we're following the track record, LPL, we've won MSI and all of the other good stuff, and now
I just want to
turns
see
around.
more fighting. This has been
Okay,
too
true.
bloodless.
Yeah,
KT,
we can start
play
fighting
like
on the
KT.
desk.
True.
Yeah.
Nah, he's a lot bigger than
Kingzone,
Yeah, I guess.
Kingzone likes to get frisky, so there'll be a team
All
fight.
right, all right.
Alrighty.
You promised me that. Okay, I'm going to look for it. All right.
All right. Well, we'll see that tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into day one of Rift Rivals. On behalf of myself, my analysts, the casters, and the whole production crew, thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.